What conventional medicine essentially teaches is that your body is like a machine, and that if anything goes wrong with its function or its behavior isn't working right, then we have a tendency to blame the machine and say, well, your mechanism doesn't work right. And since your mechanism is programmed by your genes, and apparently you didn't pick the genes that you came with, and you can't change the genes that you came with, so all of a sudden you start to recognize, well, if my life characters are controlled by my genes and I had no selection process in it, I'm just sort of like a victim of heredity. Whatever was passed down, that's what I have to face in this particular life. And then, of course, once you find that you're a victim, you see you're powerless in, like, the unfoldment of your health, let's say, and you say, it's the machine determines whether I'm going to have cancer or I'm not going to have cancer, or whether I'm going to be well or whether I'm going to be sick, and it's sort of, you wake up, like in almost a fear of your own machine breaking down on you. And we offer that as the belief system, the mechanism that your cells are creating your life, and genes create their characters, and you can't do anything about it. And then there's a side effect of this belief system, because once you believe that your health and your behavior are not anything that you physically can control, then and you're powerless over changing those genes, then you realize that you require somebody to come in and help you fix the machine. And of course, that's what they're trying to get you to believe, that you are a victim, and therefore, and that the medical situation represents the system that knows how to fix that thing, and you don't, therefore you need them. That's old model. New model. Genes are involved with making the machine. The machine is a vehicle. But the 95% of us or so got here with an adequate genome to have a wonderful, healthy, prosperous existence. And if we start to find that we're failing at that, if we start to find that illness comes in or stress is overcoming us in this, we had the old tendency to believe, well, I can't do anything about it. But now we start to recognize with the new biology that we are a vehicle, but there's a driver. And we left the driver out of the story before and blamed everything on the machine. And the issue is, but now that we recognize there's a driver to the machine, we also recognize there's a thing called driver education. If I sold you my car in its standard shift and you don't know how to drive stick shift and you drive away and the car is bucking and clanking and going down the street, I think, that person does, that's not good. And then I get a call back 2 days later. You know that car you sold me? The clutch is bad. And I go, oh, the clutch is bad. Well, I'll tell you what, bring it by. We'll put a new clutch in. So you bring the car back. I put a new clutch in. You drive it away, clunking and banging and bucking down the street. And then I get another call about a week later, and you say, you know that clutch you put in, that doesn't work either. And then all of a sudden we realize, chronic clutch dysfunction. And what we have to do is we go to the parts store, which is called the pharmacy, and we keep replacing these clutches. And all of a sudden there's a point that said, however, I've been blaming the machine and I've been blaming the clutch, when the reality was, if you see how you're driving, you're not driving correctly. If I teach you how to drive with the clutch and drive, then that same clutch could last you 100,000 miles. And so the point was, well, wait a minute. Coming to human health, the medical profession says it's the machine. Anything wrong with it, it's the machine. By the chemicals, by the drugs, it's the machine. And yet, what we're beginning to see in the new biology is it is a machine. And the important point, 95% of us got machines that should drive beautifully when you get it off that assembly line and last you a lifetime. If it's not working, then before you blame the machine, we might have to look at the way you're driving. And that all of a sudden gives you power, because if you change the way you're driving, you can enhance the vitality and livelihood of the mechanism called the body. So the difference between the two is the medical approach suggests you're a victim and that they have the chemicals to fix you. The new approach says is you're the driver, there is responsibility, but when you know how to drive it, you'll have carefree riding for the rest of your existence on the road.